And I am your host, and I have my good and excellent expert colleague, Tip Varnakomala, here with me today. He's a digital specialist, and we are going to be talking about Infographics Explained. This week, we've been focusing on the visual element of your brand, the visual element of your business, and this is just one more tool that you can use to get your message across. I'll let Tip get into that further, but as a little reminder, if you want to communicate with us throughout this session, use the comment section, the chat function, or the Q&A function. I'll be checking them across all the platforms. So drop your questions in and get them answered by Tip. Probably not by me. Now, as a second reminder, it is Friday. So on Fridays on our Facebook community page, you can pop in your sales, some kind of special you're running with your business, promote your business on our page with all of the followers on there. And so you can hopefully, drive some business through this weekend. So don't miss out on that. So Tip, thanks for joining us today. Again, this is your last session here with us on digital. Well, for now, for this, this time period.
Yeah. Kia ora, everyone. Happy Friday. Good to see you all today. Good to hang out with you all. Nothing would rather do, Anna Marie.
Look, I'm gonna miss our sessions, to be honest.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. It's cool. It's you guys don't get to see it behind the scenes where we just have like a nice 5-minute catch up before getting ready, doing our hair, and getting ready for infographics and why we love them. So I'm going to caveat and say that I'm filling in for someone. So, it might be a bit loose in my usual presentation. So if, something is missing, drop in the chat because these aren't my slides, but, I think I know this enough to go into it. So let's get into it. Cool. So infographics are everywhere. So I guess on the right hand side is an infographic about infographics, right? So this is kind of like what the general idea is. It's a combination of visual images and text that tell a story. So I guess the whole point of it is there's all this data, all the Lego pieces that are really messy, so maybe you want to sort it into like actual things that are interesting, and then you arrange it so it's like, I guess it makes sense how it's arranged. So, and then you present it visually. And then that's what an infographic is. So, the data can be anything such as like, how, there's so many different types of infographics. We'll go into it, but, it can be things such as, how to cook potatoes, right? And that can be an infographic. Like, it can be like anything at all. You just want to make it pretty and add some text to it. So it makes sense. So there are a combination of visual images and text to tell a story. Images are eye-catching and easy to understand at a glance. Words offer more detail, but are more time-consuming to process. So infographics, it's the best of both worlds, right? So definitely a really powerful tool. I'll show you how to use it for small business because, clearly, it is really powerful, but how to use it, where to use it, etc. Any questions, let me know. So for small business, right, it's an excellent tool in improving brand awareness, increasing traffic to your website and optimizing it for search. So essentially, in terms of brand awareness, I guess if you put something really helpful somewhere, chuck the logo on it, maybe people share it because they think, oh, this is a really cool, interesting infographic, or maybe, people print it out because it's actually really useful and people save it for themselves, right? So, definitely it's kind of like if you create value, people will use the value, right? So they're a good vehicle to establish thought leadership since they allow you to show off a depth and breadth of knowledge in a small space. So this is like super popular infographic, like the coffee one. So you can see that, there's, if you don't know what like a cappuccino is or a flat white looks like in terms of coffee, you can see, like there's the milk, there's the the Americano is hot water and espresso. You can see that, the espresso is just one shot of espresso, that kind of stuff. So, if you had this at a cafe and people didn't understand espresso coffee, they can say, oh, like, what is it? What is a cappuccino? And then you can say, hey, look, it's espresso and this is foamy milk, etc. So really simple way of kind of showing that, what you're talking about, I guess. So, they trust you that you'll know like a good cappuccino, you'll make a good cappuccino, you'll make a good piccolo, etc. I could talk about coffee all morning, but let's not. Yeah, so this is like another one. Here, this is, you probably can't read the detail, but essentially it's just like one for like a barbershop. So it can be for any kind of industry. And, I'd say, I'm going to use potatoes. Today's my example. But, say you were like a producer of, you sold like food at your little grocery store that you own, right? If you have like an infographic on the different types of potatoes and like what kind of meals they're best suited for. So like, the Agera potatoes are probably best for like mashed potatoes, maybe, maybe the red ones are good for roasting, that kind of stuff. That kind of just adds, I guess, trust to your brand, and people can kind of maybe they'll buy the expensive red potatoes because they are roasting something today. So that's like a good thing to think about. Cool. And yeah, I guess where you can use infographics, you can share it via email, across social media, in your affiliate marketing, in your media kits, on your website, and anywhere you choose. That basically means that, once you spend the time creating one of these, and we'll show you how in a second, you can use it wherever you want. So let me think. So yeah, if you have like a pamphlet, if you have like, you can put it on your website, you can put it on your social media, you can put it in emails, like, if you spend the time creating it and it's really valuable, make sure you like, shoot it out everywhere, let everyone see it. Yeah, and then I guess a really good way that I think most people on this call can do is highlight the benefits of your service product compared to the rest using infographic. So you can see on the right hand side here, it's like, I probably wouldn't compare directly with a competitor, but you can say like, my product. So let's say I'm selling a potato masher, right? It's a high-tech potato masher. It's got like a battery power thing. I don't know. So say, I love how ridiculous these get, but say, you're using the potato masher and you're saying, hey, like this mashes potatoes, 3 times as fast as, regular, home brand potato mashers, that kind of stuff. And then, obviously potato mashers are very low, for example, but maybe you're selling like software and say, hey, like our software has the best security, etc. Highlight that in this kind of infographic, and then put it on your website, put it on your socials, because it's, again, people like seeing visual things, but also the small but mighty amount of words is really valuable. And I guess we'll go through the slides, I guess. So visualize key metrics and data. So data heavy information can be difficult. So infographics combine the visual like scales and graphs with text to allow complex info to be understandable, right? Simplify communication. If you want to communicate that, like what your product does, I guess, what your service, what kind of services you do, maybe you can do that quite easily. So you can see like this one here, just on the right hand side, you can see, hey, we do beard trimming, we do beard shaping, we do hot towel shaves and haircuts. It's a really good way to say, hey, these are all the things we do at Old Town Barbershop. So people can say, oh, cool, I want a hot towel shave. That's perfect. And then they know for a fact that you do that. And then, they know, oh, if I want to take my son to get a clipper hair design, I can do that as well. Amazing. So yeah, definitely, simplify what you're doing, communicate complex information. So I guess the one on the right is kind of a good one. So say the features of your potato masher are speed, how long the battery life lasts, that kind of stuff. If it was like, if you just had it in bullet points, it might be a bit boring, or even a paragraph might be a bit boring. But if you visualize it, say, battery life is 2 hours, the speed is, I don't know, like 3 potatoes an hour or 3 potatoes every 10 minutes, that kind of stuff. I don't know, whatever is important to your industry. Definitely think about that and think about how you can communicate things more clearly. You can spread awareness and explain procedures. So I guess what that's saying is, if there's something, say you're a plumber and there's something that's really important to people's homes that you see quite a lot. So say, I guess, yeah, say like, people should check their sink for, obviously so much about plumbing, check their sink for like leakages, because sinks built between 2000 and 2010 have this like common deficiency. If you say, hey, if you have one of these, look, if your sink looks like this or this, check it. And then maybe they say, oh my God, look at that. I've got that sink, it might leak in the future. And then if you're a plumber and you've created an infographic, they're going to be like, oh, I trust this plumber to fix this for me, right? I guess I'll repeat that because it's a really important use case for it. So say, there's something that you sell, there's a service. So, if you're a plumber and, there's a common deficiency that if you don't fix early can lead to a bigger problem, or even like, let's switch it to like a car manufacturer. Maybe if you own like a, Honda Fit between 2000 and 2008, right? And then, if your engine has this thing missing, you need to take it to mechanic. And if you're the mechanic who created that infographic, they're going to look at the infographic. Hopefully down the bottom, there's your contact number. Hey, if you need help with this, give us a call. And that's like a lead from trust, right? And then they trust you already. You've already built trust without even saying anything to them, right? So that's a really powerful tool of infographics. And the last one is compare ideas or products. So I guess that's kind of what we talked about with the different potato masher peeler things. Like, this one is faster than the regular ones, right? So that's kind of like the example on the screen. What makes an infographic, I guess, good, I'd say? It offers clarity. So don't put too many things on an infographic. That's something that is quite bad, I guess. It's like bad practice. So definitely, be very mindful of what you put in. So, focus on like one key topic, I'd say. Tell a story. So you can see, I guess this one on the right is elements of design. This is like, I guess, point, line, shape, whatever, space, form, color. They're telling a story. The story is, these are the 7 key elements of design. Easy to scan and read. So, you can see that this one here is quite good. So you see, okay, the first thing you notice, is it's talking about elements of design. Cool. And then it breaks it down into the different I guess, boxes. So point, line, shape, space. So you can see, okay, so you read it like one by one, right? Because if things are all over the place, so say you kind of had like them as at different sizes, you didn't know which one's more important. The thing about this one is everything's the exact same size. It looks the same, just different. So you know that everything is equally as important. Well researched and accurate. So make sure that your information is accurate, because the worst thing that you could do is, or that could happen is, I guess, someone fact checking you and be like, hey, this isn't correct. So definitely don't spend the time making like fake infographics. I guess, if you use an external source, make sure you I guess double check the source and credit the source appropriately if necessary. And yeah, and I guess the last point is make it visually appealing. So using the right color combinations. I guess also embrace negative space as well. You can see, so negative space, if you didn't show up yesterday, is blank, empty space, which has the purpose to make everything else stand out. So it's kind of like if you've got like a white painting, right? And then you draw like a little dragon in the middle of it. The first thing and the most important thing in the painting is the little dragon, because the rest of the painting is white, right? That's what negative space is. It's making sure that the things that are really important. So for this picture, the little dragon is important. So everything else is white. We're getting very abstract in our examples here. It's probably because it's Friday, but so that's what makes it a good infographic. If any questions, let us know. In terms of format, I won't really go into this too much. We will send the slides out with some extra info as well, but because I guess this can kind of get lost on us. But essentially, there's statistical infographics which highlight data. They feature charts, graphs, data to aid audience comprehension. So that's I guess if you see infographics about like population, so maybe you say like, oh, the population growth of Otautahi Christchurch has grown up by 20% in the last 5 years. Big number, probably not true. Don't quote me on that. But and then you want to like show data like that visually. That's what statistical data is. That's probably the one you see a lot, especially in like government documents. Process infographics describe sequential steps in a process, helping audience visualize what's next and ideal outcomes. So I guess if you do like I think a good one is if you do run food. Actually, if you sell food or you sell, food products, definitely process infographics could mean like a recipe. So you say, hey, get maybe I guess how to make a good filter coffee, right? So you say, step one is make sure you get really good coffee beans. Step two is, boil the water to 80 degrees. Step three is pour 250 mils, make the perfect coffee. And then, at the end of it, you're like, oh, if you need good coffee beans, you know where to go, right? And that's your business. And that's how you plug it. Really good way of doing that. Informational infographics highlight words and text. They tend to be more generalized and contain information about any topic. So yeah, I guess that's kind of like a really broad one. I guess it's kind of when you just want to inform people on anything, I guess. Timeline infographics illustrate actions, events, time-related data in chronological order. These are usually for product releases or review launch strategies. So I guess if like you've got like a business plan or I guess you've got like, if you're launching a product and you say stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 is, different, that's what you do. A list is attention grabbing, informative, communicating, what counts and encouraging. So I guess it's kind of when you want to say, how would I say it? Yeah, it's just when you want to like list some really important like information, I guess, like, but just list it, like it's kind of like bullet points, but you make it pretty essentially. And comparison infographics allow the audience to quickly compare and contrast two options, ideas, or concepts. So the audience can see the difference in two or multiple choices, and that is exactly what this one is. So you see, product green versus product blue, they both have the same option 2, option 5, maybe you want product blue instead, right? So this is like a comparison one, and these are quite powerful for business. How to make an infographic. So, identify your target audience. So, I guess that's as everything. So, if your infographic is made for, say, the elderly, or if it's made for high school students, it's probably very different, right? So again, I guess your audience more than anyone else. So yeah, carefully, like, think about like what kind of colors, what kind of design, what kind of theme they would like. Define your goals as well. So, I guess that's a really good thing to note of as well. So, maybe your goal is to, get this viral, right? Maybe it's to print out and, get it in schools, maybe get it in restaurants, that kind of stuff. So if you want it to be if you like, I think by that you should mean, like, think about where you want to see it, right? And then think about, how you can get there, I guess. So an example is if you're selling a potato comparison, or if you're selling potatoes and you want to make a potato comparison infographic, you'd, do that and then think, okay, I want this to show in supermarkets. And then if you want, so then if you say your goal is I want supermarkets to print this out, put them next to potatoes, that's your goal, right? Third point, gather your information. So this is like quite, it obviously for certain types of infographics, you don't need information. I guess all of it instead of information, or you don't need to gather it. Sorry, you always need information, but just if it's like stats on, like, I guess coffee, or it's on your barbershop or anything like that, just make sure that you use relevant, reliable information. Again, the worst thing that could happen is your infographic being incorrect. That's like code red. Do not do that. So definitely, like, make sure that your data is relevant. And yeah, choose the type of infographic. So you can see once you've conducted your research and you've defined your goals, you should have a clear idea on which format infographic is the right one to communicate your message. So these were the ones here. We'll have like the actual like information on each of them in the recording or on our website. So definitely have a look at that later. But essentially, yeah, just figure out which one you need for you, because obviously maybe I reckon the comparison one will be really good. Like, why is your product service better than the rest, or why is your thing better than the rest? A recipe one, if for those of you who sell food, would be quite good. And yeah, definitely have a think. If you need any help, our email, it's support@digitalboost.govt.nz. Give us a buzz. And yeah, plan the structure as well. So plan the structure means creating a logical hierarchy. Think about how you want the information to look on the page and what you want your audience to notice. Some useful resources to make these are CANVA, Infogram, Piktochart, and Visme. I'll put these all in the chat right now. And yeah, these are all like very because clearly a lot of them are quite, I guess, you might be scared to make infographics, but honestly, it's really easy, because a lot of these come with like templates, and you can kind of say, hey, I want to do this, and then they make it really easy. But yeah, I guess that's kind of the end of like the actual slides of it at the moment. So like, if you have any questions or anything, let us know. You want any help with it? If you want to go through anything more, I guess. But I guess yeah, it's just definitely, I think definitely this is something I want to highlight. Like, figure out what's really because obviously you're one of the most knowledgeable in your industry, in the country, I'm sure. So definitely figure out how you can use that knowledge, highlight it into something visual, something that people can use, people will actually look at and find value in, and then think about how your customers would find value in it, and then kind of try making that.
I also think infographics, it's a really great way to give folks that are bilingual or possibly are learning the language or unfamiliar with what you're doing just a visual aid. It's just one other supportive material that people can use in order to understand the message that you're trying to convey or information about your product or service. So we know that we're very visual. Most folks are very visual learners. So it's another aspect to add to, another element of depth that you can use to create a better understanding on your website or on any documents or printed materials that you use throughout your marketing strategy. We are going to actually have an expert come on in March 3rd. I haven't popped it up on the website yet. I just found out yesterday that he would be doing a session from Virtual Innovation. Stephen's going to be doing a session about how to use graphics, infographics, images to make your website accessible to folks who possibly need a little bit more support in their world. And I think inclusivity is really important, and it also expands the amount of people that you can reach, because when we sometimes we don't think about those things until it's something that comes into our life personally. But we're going to be doing a number of sessions this year to make sure that all New Zealanders have access to your sites, and you can make your sites friendly to all folks here in Aotearoa. So stay tuned for lots of sessions on that. We'll have some from Virtual Innovation and also B Lab, which used to be called Be Accessible. So it should be really interesting. These sessions coming up. This was fantastic. I actually love the coffee. I can speak from a standpoint of I used to be an an English teacher for international students. And some of these signs like this are some of the most valuable tools when they go to a shop and they're going to order a coffee. The visual aid mixed with the words helps them to not only know what they want to order and be able to use those words, but know what they're going to get. So, it's super, super important. And so we've just got a comment here that says, I see this medium as a different type of material to upload instead of usual images and blogs, etc. Adding this to my strategy. Thanks for the information. You are very welcome. It is, and I want to thank Victoria actually, because she was the first person to kind of go, we've got to do a session on infographics. And we're really grateful that you've popped this in this week. We're finishing up on a high here, I believe. Any suggestion on how to include our logo or contact? Yeah, what do you think about that tip? I'm going to drop some of the links just before you get started. I'm going to drop some of the links that Victoria has popped in the chat into some of the other platforms, and I'll let you chat about this question here about how to include logo or contact information.
I just realized that my name is still Victoria on the Zoom, so I will change that. That was actually me. I was like, wait, when did Victoria get here? But anyways, how to add your logo contact? I think, like, you know, at the bottom, like, you know, it's kind of like, don't do it obvious, like, do it kind of subtly, you know, like, or put it there, but don't be like don't yell it, I guess. It's kind of like when you, trying to think, for example, when you're like selling like a product, right? Like if you're selling hot sauce, right, like in a jar, it's kind of the same idea. Like you want like your product name, like the picture that you've, you know, that you've got an illustrator to draw for you, and you want down the bottom to be like, hey, you know, it's Tip's hot sauce. Or like, I guess craft beer is a really good one, because craft beer, I don't know if you guys drink craft beer at all, but you know, generally the general idea is a lot of the cans are very visual. They've got like illustrated drawings and everything like that. And then down the bottom somewhere they have, oh, it's a Garage Project one or a Brothers Beer one. So yeah, like, I guess I'll actually try to find an example. Give me 1 second of it, but definitely do it. And then in terms of contact number as well, just say, hey, you know, if you have any questions about this, give us a call. Graphics. And then on Lara's note, I guess, yeah, no, definitely like think about infographics. I think the key thing about it is like, I guess, just highlight what's important to like your users. So, you know, if you're selling a bag, you know, say, you know, like, or if you're selling a chair, let's say, just say, you know, like, you know, this having a chair with a 45-degree angle, whatever, is better for your back than like the regular ones that you get at like regular homeware stores, right? That kind of stuff. Just yeah, just definitely like have a think and be like very like mindful on what's important to your business, and definitely create a few of those, especially for any FAQs, any common questions you have. Yeah, and any other questions? Anna Maria, do you have any thoughts while I look for an example?
We're really tag teaming this. I'm on the Facebook just plugging in all the links that Victoria has popped in there. We've just had some comments saying thank you so much for the resources. You're very welcome. It's one of the things that we really are passionate about, is providing you with the opportunities and the information and the links to things that can help you to know what you don't know. One of the things that we discussed yesterday in the Coffee and Questions, we were saying, hey, what kind of content would you like to see? And one of the comments basically was, how do we know what we don't know? Yeah, so it's hard to know what we don't know. And that is very, very true. So we are going to be looking at the things that you're watching on the site, and the comments that we get, and just keeping our ear to the finger on the pulse, I guess, as you'd say, on what's happening in small businesses, and we will figure it out for you. So don't stress about that. I would recommend, if you're not a techie person and this does interest you, I can't implore you enough to contact our support and get the support that you need. Don't miss out. Don't be afraid to contact us. Some folks feel like, oh, but that's a hassle, you know, and that's why we're here. It's one of the touch points that we're very proud of here at Digital Boost. Not every organization is able to do that, but one of the things that we wanted to make sure that you had was the ability to actually speak with real people. So we do have the staff to do that, and we will set up times that are convenient for you. I think what the latest our support staff works is like 8 p.m. So it would have to be
7.
7, is it?
Yeah.
What's the support staff hours again, Tip?
8 to 7. So you should
8 to 7.
Yeah, you can expect a reply in like about 15 minutes between 8 to 7. So
yeah,
super good, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah. So a lot of people have gotten a lot of help over the year. You're very, very welcome.
Yeah, so I
didn't
guess
know much about infographics either, Laura. A lot of us didn't know. Like, I know what they are, but I didn't know that's what they were called, and I didn't even think, oh, maybe I should incorporate these into what I'm doing. So now I'm like, oh, this is such a valuable tool. Go ahead, Tip. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing now. I've waffled on for you there.
Thank you. Like, thanks for buying me some time. But yeah, so this is clearly not the happiest infographic, but it's kind of highlights a good example of one. So they've used negative space, so the white background is like the number one like negative space kind of tool. So you can see at the back it's all white, and then you see fatal falls count for 320 deaths. I'm not sure what country this is, but in construction, falls from roofs were the main cause, falls from ladders. So this is a really cool one because they've kind of drawn like a construction site, right? So you know what it's about. They've used orange. So this is actually a really cool one. Actually, they've used orange because that's what you think of when you think construction, right? Like high vis, you think of like the road cones, even, right? It's clearly about construction. They've used illustrations, but it's nothing too fancy. Like, you don't need to go too fancy. You can see there's a ladder, there's like a not built roof. The workers are over 65. Immigrant workers had the highest risk of fatal falls, which is quite sad. This is America, I think. So but yeah, essentially what they've done down the bottom is added like, this is obviously like a joint effort. So they've added like quite a few logos. Like, you can see the CDC, you can see all these different organizations which are part of this initiative. You can see join the campaign to stop construction falls. And I guess that's the call to action, right? So once you've read this infographic, you see, oh my God, wow, that's like not great, right? And then you see, okay, this is the call to action. How can I help prevent this? Let's join the campaign, and you can see, okay, like the CDC are the ones running it. I think the CDC are like the health people in the States. But essentially, yeah, so the CDC joined the campaign to stop construction falls, and then they've got the hashtag down the bottom, that kind of stuff. Obviously, this one's probably a bit more than most businesses need, but definitely like have it down the bottom somewhere, right? So say, here's a really useful information. So for a coffee shop, here's a really useful coffee information or recipe, and then down the bottom there, be like, if you need good coffee beans, talk to Tip Coffee Roasters, and give us a call. Here's our phone number, here's our website, here's a QR code, all that kind of stuff. And I think it's kind of like a beautiful psychology thing. I'm not sure how it works, but if you're reading it, you're like, wow, that was really good. Like, you feel happy because you learned something, right? And at the end of it, you think, oh, cool, I want coffee beans, and then you trust this person who created this document. And I guess for this one, the idea is you feel, oh, upset, that's not good. How can I help prevent this? And then you say, okay, cool, let's go to this website. I think there was one more here. And then also this one's a bit like kind of, I don't know what this is about. Hopefully nothing. Something about smart devices, right? Okay. You can see, you can put your logo down the bottom left of your infographic. I think there are probably too many words and everything's a bit messy in this one. This infographic, you don't actually know what's the most important. So it's not perfect, it's okay. But I think the thing I want to highlight is down the bottom, they put their logos there, and you can probably put down like a phone number there as well. Just say, hey, like 60% of Toyota Corollas from the 2000s have this problem in their car. make sure you get it sorted out. And if you do need to get it sorted out, they've got a handy number on the bottom left. So that is that there. So definitely, yeah. Ooh.
I think you've covered it, Tim. I think you've kind of gotten to the point where you're going to start to talk yourself in circles because you've really nailed everything. And Victoria put together a fabulous presentation there, and we appreciate that, Victoria. And we hope you're feeling better today. And so, yes, thank you all for coming to Infographics 101, Infographics Explained, the how, what, where of infographics. We hope this has been enlightening. And next week we've got, even though it's Auckland anniversary, but of course we are national, so we'll be here. So if you're Auckland based, you can still tune into a session at 10 a.m. We'll still be here. Tip's going to be hosting that one on Monday, and then I'll be taking over for the rest of the week and on to the end and beyond, or whatever that quote is. End of time. Yeah, to infinity and beyond. So next week we've got a number of things lined up. We have on the 31st, we'll be talking to Andrea from ACE Training. She's going to go through OneDrive. Then we've got Glenn coming in talking about how to pick up leads at live events using digital tools. We also have David from Dimple Digital coming in. He did a fantastic chat last year on how to create Facebook ads, and we're going to be following that up with how to measure Facebook ads results. That's on Wednesday. Thursday, we have Paula Gare from De-Risk Me, and she's going to be talking about data and privacy, the rules and how to follow them. She is an educator, so it will not be boring, and it will be a really great session. And then on Friday, we've got Alex Hamilton coming in from The Right Tool. So if you're, and we're going to be talking about digital tools for your industry. So that's going to be a really insightful information session to finish up the week on. So we'll have a regular week next week. Please join us for some of those sessions. I think you will really get good value out of them as we bring our providers and suppliers back into the fold. I know that there's some competitions coming up, so stay tuned for more information about that. And do let us know how you're getting on our Facebook community page. We'd love to help you out and promote your business. So get yourself up and on there and meet some like-minded folks that are also on the journey. So thanks, Tip. Have a wonderful day today. Everyone have a wonderful day. If you're enjoying the long weekend, then put your feet up, relax, take a deep breath, and hopefully we'll have some good sunshine. Ka kite, everyone.